Let's rewind it back to the Fast and the Furious, the very first one.
Go!
It's 20 years old! What the heck?
So what are you saying?
The Fast and the Furious is an action film directed by Rob Cohen and written by Gary Scott Thompson and David Ayer, surprisingly. And it is the first installment in the Fast and Furious franchise. And this one stars, of course, Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Rick Yoon, Chad Lindbergh, Johnny Strong, and Ted Levine. And it follows Brian O'Connor, played by Paul Walker, who's an undercover cop tasked with discovering the identities of a group of unknown automobile hijackers led by Dom Toretto, aka Vin Diesel. And this movie came out on June 22nd, 2001, and was a commercial success, grossing over $200 million worldwide. And the success of the Fast and the Furious led to a multimedia franchise, and there is about to be 10 of these movies because we have F9 plus Hobbs and Shaw. So this is a giant, massive franchise, but it started here.
Now, whatever it is you're in on, I want in on it too.
It almost was not called The Fast and the Furious. Other working titles for the movies included Racer X, Redline, and Race Wars.
The reason it was almost called Racer X was because Rob Cohen, the director, read an article called Racer X in Vibe magazine back in 1998. And this article detailed the New York street racing scene, you know, that whole vibe. And so after that, he sought out a race in Los Angeles, went and watched it, was inspired to make the movie, and then he convinced Universal and bought the rights to the article from the original writer, Ken Lee.
Let's talk about who was almost cast in this movie, because this was almost saved by the cars. So Rob Cohen's original casting choices, and I cannot believe this, but he wanted Mario Lopez to play Dominic, Mark Paul Gosselaar to play Brian, and Dustin Diamond as Jesse. What?
That's not what I had in mind.
Yeah. However, thankfully, the Universal producers were like, no, we think that a Saved by the Bell reunion where they're not even playing their same characters is going to be wildly confusing for the fans out there. So they quickly squashed those plans, and I'm so glad.
I'm so glad they did. That would have been, I just don't think it would have taken off as a franchise. Like, I think it would have been too odd to see these people somewhere else.
Very strange. So let's talk about Brian O'Connor. Those who went up for the role include Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale, and Eminem, because he was so hot back then. So that actually would have been an interesting get. But then, of course, the role went to the one and only Paul Walker, and he was actually the very first person of the cast to sign on.
Ah, he's beautiful.
I like his haircut.
Speaking of gorgeous, let's talk about Mia, his love interest, because Natalie Portman, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kirsten Dunst, Bijou Phillips, and Jessica Biel all auditioned for the role of Mia, which was actually written for Eliza Dushku, but she turned it down. And I have to wonder how she feels about that now, because Mia's still there.
That's really funny.
Let's talk about Dom, who's now our lead of this franchise, essentially. So at one point, studio execs were trying to get Colin Farrell for the part of Dominic, and Timothy Olyphant actually turned down the role of Dom Toretto, thinking the film would be too similar to another car-related film he had just done, Gone in 60 Seconds. So Vin Diesel eventually signed on, but he had to be really persuaded to participate in this film, and he had also proposed like several scripting changes before he even accepted the role.
Naturally, when you have a movie that's full of really attractive people, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes hookups, and that's exactly what happened on this first movie. So while it's not known to the extent of how many hookups and who exactly was hooking up with who, director Rob Cohen confirmed that all of the lead players were romantically involved in real life with their respective on-screen interests. So he actually said, quote, Vin got the hots for Michelle, or vice versa, he said in a 2015 interview, and Paul was definitely into Jordana. And so Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez were actually dating off-screen while they were filming on-screen together, which I think is really cute.
My trophy.
Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez, wasn't written as a leading role, but once she joined the cast, Cohen carved out more screen time for her, and he did this by developing a love story between Letty and Dom.
For a movie that's all about driving cars, you think that they would have picked actors who already knew how to drive? Nope. What do you mean picked Two of the leads did not have their driver's license or even like a permit before signing on. So Michelle Rodriguez and Jordana Brewster did not have driver's license. But so all of the actors were sent to Las Vegas and they were all taught to drive in Formula One cars.
I feel like you could maybe get away with it with Jordana not being able to drive, but like Michelle Rodriguez is like, what? She has to be able to.
See ya. We all know and love Dom's house. It's been like kind of like the epicenter of these movies for the entire franchise. Did you know you can actually go and visit it? Yeah, it's actually in the heart of Los Angeles. I'm not going to really say the address. You can look it up. You can totally find it online. But here's what I thought was really interesting. The house originally was a completely different color. And so they not only did they say to the people that lived there, like, hi, we want to use your house. We also want to paint it white so that it makes these cars pop more.
Speaking of Dom, Vin Diesel actually broke a stuntman's nose while filming this movie. There was a fist fight during the race war scene that got a little too real when he accidentally broke the nose of a stuntman playing a security guard with a backwards elbow blow. And I know, from talking to people, that is like a huge fear of actors of accidentally hurting someone like that.
That's how I broke someone's nose, with my elbow and landing on him. She deserved it, though. This was a cheerleading accident.
Speaking of breaking things, during the filming of the movie, they totaled 78 cars. That's a lot of them. And out of the 78, even in the trailer, 3 cars destroyed.
Okay, let's talk about the train scene, because I remember watching this and it like blew my mind. So if you're looking at, so first of all, if you were actually watching it and you were worried that the train was actually going to hit their cars, don't worry about it. They filmed them completely separately. So they drove their cars over, the train went by, and through the magic of VFX, they put the 2 scenes together. So, whew, no worries. But if you're looking at it from the train's point of view and you're wondering who won in that race, as if you actually could still remember that a race was actually happening, well, Brian actually won by just a little skosh. And it kind of goes back, it goes back to Dom's early line in the movie that says,
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Let's talk alternate endings, because there is an alternate ending of this movie called More Than Furious, in which Tanner drops off Brian at the Toretto home and he encounters Mia. She's packing up, intending to move away, and then he reveals that he resigned from the LAPD, who let him go quietly, and that he really wants another chance with her. And Mia tells him it's not going to be that simple. Brian tells her he's got time, and that ending was released in the collection bundle DVD version, so you can actually go out and find it. But I'm so glad they didn't go with that, because I think it would have just negated the next movie.
Exactly. Like that wrapped it up way too nicely with the bow. I loved the way that they ended the first one, because it really made me be like, well, what's next? Where's Dom going? What is he still a cop? What's going on?
Dude, I almost had you.
That's right, and that's going to do it for this week's episode of Stream Queens. But tell Ash and I your thoughts. Are you going to be watching Kevin himself? Do you love Annie Murphy as much as we do? Let us know.
Yes, and we've talked so much about the Fast and Furious franchise today, so we also want to know, what's your favorite of the entire franchise? Are you like the ones in the beginning? You like the ones where they get a little bonkers? Let us know. Use that hashtag Stream Queens, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.